Peter Thomas Fornatal back with you, far from the Brooklyn bunker, ensconced in downtown Lexington. Very happy to be joined by a good friend on this broadcast to talk about what's really important. We got videos, we got podcasts. They're going to tell you all about the form of these horses. But what are we drinking on Kentucky Derby Day? To answer that question, I'm bringing in a man. I'm only going to describe him as one of the most famous and talented bartender, mixologist, whatever term you want to use, of all time. He's also the author of a new book. It's fantastic, folks. The updated version of Craft of the Cocktail. My friend and fellow degenerate, Dale DeGroff. Dale, how are you?
I'm great, Pete. It's great. Usually we're at the track together. I really miss those days. But I'm feeling good. I'm ready to make you some good bourbon whiskey from Kentucky, mint juleps, and a whiskey smash. I wanted to let you know that I've got several brands that I like. Woodford Reserve. This is the one they have with the double wood. And then we've got a sweet spot for American bourbon. It's 100 proof, and this is a 101 Maker's Mark. We got an Angel's Envy, which was the guy who was the master distiller over at Woodford Reserve. Sadly, no longer with us, Lincoln Henderson. I actually made a barrel with Lincoln of Woodford Reserve, and then we got Bullet, another good bourbon. So you choose the one you like. There's so many good Kentucky bourbons. I'm not going to tell you what to drink.
I feel like you're making me choose between my children here. But we've got a connection to Maker's Mark. Actually, they're a sponsor of the Breeders' Cup. We do our horse player happy hour shows with them. So if you made me reach for one, maybe that's the one I'd give a whirl to. Recognizable from the red wax, and of course, no judgments about how folks want to drink their bourbon during this week. I tend to prefer neat, though I will say, come Derby Day itself, I have to have at least one mint julep. The mint julep, Dale, is a drink I didn't think I liked until I took a cocktail class with you in the mid-1990s, and you turned me around. Let's talk about the drink at first as a concept. Why is it a drink that gets a little bit of a bad rap, and how can it be better? And then, of course, the follow-up to that, can you show us how to make it?
Well, the thing about the mint julep is it's the oldest American drink that made any waves at all around the world. As a matter of fact, Oxford University has a mint julep day that goes back to the middle of the 19th century. The first travelers to the New World that wrote about the mint julep were in the 1790s. This was when the julep was most likely a brandy or a peach brandy or a combination of the two drink. It became a Kentucky whiskey drink some 50 years later. But yeah, it's a legendary drink. And actually, by the late 19th century, there were more mint juleps made in New York City in a glass like that than there were anywhere else in the world. So it was a hugely popular drink. It's sugar, mint, bourbon, and water. Hello. So I made a drink called the Whiskey Smash, which added a little sour element to it, and I'll make that next. But you want me to make this, baby?
Let's do it. And I want to ask you about that fantastic tin there in front of you. But maybe let's make the drink, and then we'll talk about the tin.
Take these bottom leaves. Drop a few of them right in there. These bottom leaves are no good because they're too far down the stem. Then you pop that off right about here, because what you want to have on top of this drink is a nice big bunch of, this is spearmint. See how it holds and stands up to attention? It'll remain like that. That big floppy-eared mint, elephant mint I call it, no, it gets too floppy. The spearmint stays right up at attention, looks great in the glass. So we got a few leaves in here. Let's put a little bit of sugar. I use already dissolved sugar because, you get to the drink faster, if you get my meaning. Don't overdo the sugar, especially for your heavy drinking pals, because they're not going to want it. All you do is open a couple of veins of flavor. This is a fancy muddler made by a good friend of mine he turned this one. It's just so beautiful. Really, I'm not grinding or anything. I'm just pressing. And in Kentucky, you would leave those mint leaves right in the bottom. In Virginia, the Virginians used to say, any man who would leave the mint in his mint julep would put scorpions in a baby's bed. So you see there's a difference of opinion here, you know what I mean? So I've got the mint, I've got a little bit of water to help get some flavor. Flavor has to be in something, and in this case, the medium is that little bit of water. Now, what do we do now? we're going to put a little shot of bourbon right at the bottom before we even put the ice. Maker's Mark 101 proof. As I said when I first started talking about bourbon, that's the sweet spot for American whiskey. 100 proof. That's why bonded whiskey was so popular, because it was aged longer and it was 100 proof. I'm putting fine snow ice in here, and I'm going to go right up to the top of my mint julep cup, which was War Emblem's mint julep gift to the jockey, the trainer, and the winner the year that War Emblem won in 2002. I was allowed to buy this in 2003 because they don't put it on sale until the next year. And it's cheap. It's corn silver. And I don't want to say what I paid for it because I think my wife can hear me speaking right now. I want her to know that little bit of information. But now you want to put a little more of this beautiful ice on top. You want it to mound up a little bit, and then you can put, I don't even think we need another little dash. So what I'm going to do here now is take the mint. This is so simple. It's baby steps, but if you do it wrong, it's got to look like that. There's got to be a nice big bouquet of mint on top. I'm going to leave this here for a minute because I want you to see what happens to it until we get around to finally drinking it. I could go on with the next drink, or we could talk about this coin silver by Mr. Thomas.
I have a couple of home bartender questions for you. One is, in your view, is it acceptable if one does not have a fancy, handmade silver tin? Can you put this sucker in a rocks glass? And then what do you advise for the home bartender in terms of making that ice look so pretty as you have right there?
Put those big ice cubes. The napkin will keep the ice dry. You want it to be kind of dry when it goes. I mean dry, not drippy wet.
Yeah.
This is just a good heavy duty mallet. This is my julep mallet. That's all I use it for. And protection. You fold over a napkin or a kitchen towel. Nothing like a real towel because it's got too much fluff on it. And fold it over good, and then just get big cubes that are nice and out of your refrigerator and pound them down to powder. Put them in one of these things, the good old-fashioned ice bin that you probably have on your bar anyway. And this, by the way, is the Whiskey Smash, which was the mint julep on a short plan back in the middle of the 19th century. In New York City, they made it in here. This is another sample of one of these glasses for someone who has a little more of an appetite, so they're taller. Now look what's happened here. Let me slide this back into the shot. I don't know if you can see it, but it's
frosted
right with the ice on the outside.
Yeah, it's frosted over. You can see it
over completely. Nice.
Gorgeous.
What's your second question about ice?
I wanted to ask about the syrup making for the home bartender. Super straightforward, but not everybody knows. What do you tell them to do for that?
Equal parts by volume of just regular granulated sugar. I put it in one of those little bell jars. You make as much of it as you want. Put it in a big bell jar. Sugar and water. You shake it until it comes clear, and it'll stay like that. If you want to save it in the fridge, it'll start to ferment. You could put like a half ounce of vodka in there to keep it from fermenting. It won't affect the flavor of anything. And but if you're gonna make lemonade for the kids, I don't advise that. Yeah. It will stay for 4 to 6 days in the refrigerator if you don't keep taking it out before it starts to basically bubble up and turn into alcohol. Rum, sugar-based alcohol. Now I have another drink for you. Would you like me to make it for you?
Let's do it, man.
Yeah. I've got a good knife here somewhere. I had a good knife here. Let me see if I can find it now. Of course, it's absolutely not here now. I have a knife here. It's a little bit than the one I'm going to actually use. Bartenders are using chef's knives and cutting. Bartenders are becoming more culinary in their craft. I'm just going to take the nubs off this lemon here, and then I'm going to cut it right down the equator, and then I'm going to cut it into 4 equal pieces. I'm essentially going to make myself some lemon juice. And I'm going to do that by squeezing these lemons right in a glass. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm adding a little bit of acid. I don't mean acid, I mean lemon juice, which is an acid. I'm adding a little bit of acid to that mint julep so that it has some balance. It's not all sweet and strong. It's sweet, strong, and sour. I'm going to put those mint leaves in there. Now, you notice I'm putting them in after I made my juice because I don't want to mash the leaves up too much. I want to just get those veins of flavor open. That's the deal. Now, you put your sugar in. Now, you can see how much juice is in there. So you sort of measure the same amount of sugar. So you get a balanced drink. And then you put your bourbon in. Yeah. 3, 4, what the hell? The glass ready, and in this case, I'm just going to use that box glass. I have this other wonderful little ice tool. This is so wonderful. It's got a little, it's like a billy club kind of, because the end is like and it makes like a piece of, it makes crushed ice, which is what's really good for this drink, crushed ice. And breaks it up really good. There we go. There we go. Now I'm going to shake the heck out of this drink with that ice, and then I'm going to pour it all right back in. You're really doing a service to the drink now because you're diluting it. And this is a drink, by the way, that gentlemen and ladies who don't even really like whiskey, they like this drink because it's almost like a whiskey punch. Yeah, and it's got a lot of flavor, and it's balanced, and it's not so strong. It's not going to kill you. Isn't it sweet? And then we're going to put the mint right on top. Just pop off a couple of beautiful stems, and we're going to put it right in there. You could, by the way, sometime in mid-August, when the peaches from Georgia are really lovely, you could mash a couple peaches up in here too. And my God, is it good? It's called Whiskey Peach Smash. I hope you ever drink, because I'm gonna drink.
do it. I'm getting ready. We're gonna be heading out. I'm inspired now to maybe go visit a distillery this afternoon. There's a couple in easy range here from Lexington. That might have to happen today. It'll be that or a horse farm for me. That whiskey smash, so refreshing. I love that point about how this is a drink. People think they don't like whiskey drinks if they think they don't like mint juleps. Give them a load of this and see if you can't turn them around. Now, Dale, before I let you get out of here today, I do want to talk for at least a minute about your new book, The New Craft of the Cocktail. Tell folks what they can expect to find in it and where they can purchase their very own copy.
Well, they stopped using dust covers in a lot of books in the new millennium because they get lost and broken and torn and things. This has got the sort of dust cover right on the actual plate that is the book, and there's pictures on the back which are pretty. I had a good photographer, Daniel Krieger, who shoots a lot for the Times, a lot of shots. And he did some beautiful, beautiful photographs for me. Oh my God, he's got such a classy style. What we got in here, see, I wrote the first craft of the cocktail, which is over my shoulder over there, in 2002, and a lot has happened since 2002. These young bartenders have taken this craft to places I never thought it would go. I mean, there are things inside of these glasses that were never there before in terms of herbs and spices and unusual vegetables and fruits that are now available from the Far East, and yuzu and so much has happened. And so I wanted to reflect some of my talented young pals and their specialty drinks, things like the Oaxacan Old Fashioned, or the Strange Brew, which is a drink made with beer and alcohol, and distilled spirits, which is astonishingly good. Served tall like a Tom Collins and made kind of like a Tom Collins. And in place of the club soda, you use a good IPA beer as a topper to lighten up the drink and make it really exciting. It's a special drink. So I wanted to reflect that. I wanted to tell some stories about things, where this all came from, how this craft cocktail movement developed. So I have an author's introduction where I do that, and I talk about the new millennium in that introduction. Then in the history, I bring in the revolution that happened in the culinary side of the business for 30 years at the end of the 20th century, which essentially created the audience that we now enjoy on the cocktail side. And I don't think there would be that audience if we hadn't been preceded by 30 years of people falling in love with big flavor, ethnic mixed with Southwestern mixed with French, Chinese mixed with French, fusion. We are so lucky on the culinary side of dining, of enjoying our nights out, in terms of the choices we have. That's the audience in love with big flavor and willing to take chances that are going for the new, unusual drinks made with spirits that tasted before, like Baijiu, mezcal, and 2 or 3 other agave spirits that were never even in the United States before. Sake, soju, all these things, they're being used in cocktails and people are starting to enjoy them. And that's what I wanted to sort of chronicle. It is basically 20 years since the last book of what's been happening in this crazy and wonderful craft cocktail movement.
It is amazing. It's been a pleasure to be bar side for much of it. And it's no exaggeration to say, Dale, that you set the table for this revolution by keeping the proper craft cocktails alive through what was otherwise associated as a little bit of a dark time. You keeping that torch lit, I think, helped enable this explosion. There's nobody better to chronicle it than you do in the new Craft of the Cocktail. Where can folks get their copy?
Amazon is probably the cheapest place to get it. If you want to support your local bookstore, that's a nice thing to do. You're going to pay about $15 more for it in the local bookstore, but I buy it from my local bookstore because I want to support them. They do author readings and stuff like that frankly, Amazon doesn't do on TV, so, that's up to you if you want to be supportive. If you just want to get a quick copy, it'll be there the next morning if you order from Amazon.
Great stuff, Dale. Thank you so much for your time today. Do you have a quick thought, a hunch play in the Derby, perhaps?
Well, I wanted to go for, come on. If the bourbon is in the name, I'm going to go for the horse.
A little midnight bourbon for you, perhaps, in this year's Kentucky Derby. Good stuff. Good stuff. Dale, thank you so much for your time today. And hopefully we can meet up for a longer chat about the new book soon, maybe over on the podcast side.
Yeah. Are you going to get up to Belmont Park?
I'm hoping to. We're hoping to get good news about fans and maybe get there for Belmont Stakes Week. If you're in the area, we'd love to have you as our guest. So let me know about that too, my friend.
If there is a Belmont Stakes, I'm living in Parkdale, Connecticut now. I'll make the trip. Yeah.
All right. I'm very glad to hear that. We'll definitely do more around that. Thank you, Dale DeGroff, and thanks for everybody that tuned in to our In the Money Media YouTube channel. Do us a favor, rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff, and you can find much more over at inthemoneypodcast.com.